The king is dead.
And if Rhaenyra succeeds him, war will follow.
Spoiler alert! We see Aegon II Targaryen's reign as king for the first time in the Season 2 premiere of House of the Dragon, and it's not been easy. Now that the deed is complete, Alicent and Otto are starting to realize that, despite Viserys' dying request, their firstborn son might prove to be a challenge to manage during this crucial period for the Seven Kingdoms. King Aegon II is still relatively young, which makes him impetuous, arrogant, and still enjoying the novelty of being king, but he still needs some time to grow up and learn how to act appropriately in his official capacity.
Still, he's not totally to blame for this. Aegon is faced with an impending battle against the Blacks, and his father, King Viserys, a peacetime monarch, is his main source of guidance on leadership. In addition to showing off his might and relishing in the idea of utilizing it to brutally destroy his adversaries, he also tries to uphold the interests of the populace, even though it is becoming increasingly difficult for him to accomplish both.
He told me you wish for Aegon to be king.
You are the challenge, Aegon!
Welcome to Movie Spy. King Viserys is Aegon's only point of reference. When Viserys was king, his country was generally calm, and his brother Daemon and daughter Rhaenyra were the most important people in his family that needed his attention. We can't ignore the numerous mistakes Viserys made as king, yet in some ways, he could be seen as a respectable role model because of the vulnerability Paddy Considine brought to the position. His political skill was questionable, and he was far too dependent on Otto Hightower and readily misled by him, despite his good intentions. Because of his tender feelings for Rhaenyra, he was oblivious to the political ramifications of her taking the throne upon his passing and the dangers posed by her two blatantly illegitimate offspring. Aegon never really considered himself the heir to the kingdom since Rhaenyra had already been promised it, despite Alicent's insistence that this would not stand. Aegon was less interested in assuming the throne than his brother Aemon was, and he greatly preferred to enjoy the benefits of his position rather than face the obligations that came with it. But after the townsfolk cheered him on and he threw Blackfyre into the air, he realized that maybe this whole Lord of the Seven Kingdoms thing wasn't as horrible as he had thought. He takes pleasure in using his position of authority over others since he knows they can't stand against him. This is seen when he brings his firstborn son Jaehaerys along to the inaugural small council meeting in Season 2, which serves only as a source of diversion. Alicent goes into mommy mode and tells him to stop forcing Tywin Lannister to get on his knees so Jaehaerys can ride him like a pony. When it comes to hearing the pleas of his subjects, Aegon's senses as king provide a different picture. Viserys' inclination to please people begins to show in his son, who makes an effort to placate the petitioners and treats them kindly, understanding their significance to the kingdom's survival in the impending conflict. This is also the point at which his naivety is most obvious. To the relief of the farmer, Aegon recognizes the issue right away and promises to restore the sheep when he is approached about the crown stealing a tenth of the farmer's sheep to feed the dragons. Aegon needs to be reminded that things are not that easy, and Otto has to intervene to tell him that if he returns one farmer's sheep, a dozen more will be at his feet demanding the same treatment. Aegon pledges to pay the blacksmiths and to pay them well when Hugh the Hammer contacts the king about paying them before they start their work. Otto begins to approach Aegon to suggest otherwise, but Aegon bluntly says, "Our victory depends on the efforts of the small folk."
Our victory depends on the efforts of the small folk.
And Otto retreats down the stairs without saying anything more. The family of Aegon is conspiring to harm him. In addition to the approaching conflict with the Blacks, King Aegon II must contend with attempts by his own family to dethrone him. Similar to Daemon, Aegon's younger brother, Aemond, suffers from severe second son syndrome and prefers to use reckless violence over trying to prevent conflict through diplomacy. He is also seen plotting with Ser Criston, who also believes that a dragon war is unavoidable. Aemond has good reason to distrust his own mother and grandfather because Alicent and Otto have other ideas. Following the brief council meeting, Alicent and Otto talk about their goals and how they hope this battle with Rhaenyra will turn out. Reminding her father of his power over Aegon and Aemond, Alicent begs him not to silence her during the tiny council meetings. Rhaenyra and Otto share the same goal, which is for Aegon to be able to peacefully and rightfully rule on the Iron Throne. However, if Otto continues to openly undermine Rhaenyra, she will no longer have any influence over her sons. Though they both agree that violence is now inevitable, she also makes the point that all they need to do is wait for Aegon to get tired of his royal duties before they can begin tugging strings once more. Even when Aegon is placed on the Iron Crown, the Greens aren't happy, despite their demands in Season 1 that he be recognized as the legitimate successor to the crown. Aegon now faces a formidable foe, and he has no one he can genuinely rely on to give him frank advice. While Alicent and Otto try to subdue him, he also has Larry Strong, Matthew Needham, on the verge of removing Otto from his position as Hand of the King in order to appoint him in his place. Although Larys has so far demonstrated devotion to Alicent, he is also not entirely trustworthy. With the war of a lifetime looming huge, Aegon never had a chance to succeed, having only a peacetime ruler to draw inspiration from.